I see you have constructed a new lightsaber. Wait a minute. Is that PVC?
Hells yeah, it is! Today I'm making Ben Solo's lightsaber. So I want to preface this video by saying that Nerdist totally beat me to the punch on this one. They did a whole video on this guy who 3D printed Ben Solo's lightsaber, but this video is for everyone who doesn't have a 3D printer. Like me! Dagoma, please send me a 3D printer. For this build, I used super glue, PVC pipe, PVC cutter, craft foam, sanding tools, cutting tools, safety gear, LEDs, a blue kyber crystal, fear, anger, hatred, and suffering. I'm using scrap PVC from some super old builds for the main parts of the hilt. I know I'm going to get questions about the PVC diameter, but I don't really like to say because different brands gauge by the interior of the pipe and the exterior of the pipe, and I have no idea what they carry at anyone else's hardware store. So, like always, I'm building on a cutting mat so you can get an idea of the dimensions of the pieces. I made that funky end part by sanding That's the technical term, guys, the funky end part. By sanding grooves in a slightly wider PVC pipe and super gluing it in place. Now it occurs to me that you could buy a cheap Kylo saber toy, sand away the wire, cut the top off, and rebuild it just without the cross vents. But that's much easier said than done. Like seriously, what did it take me 5 seconds to say that? But in reality, for me, it means dealing with Chicago traffic to and from the store to spend money on this toy that I then have to spend 2 days sanding versus 20 minutes of sanding parts from an egg crate in my living room. So, gotta have some perspective. I put craft foam spacers inside the widest pipe and glued it in place. I shortened the end with a PVC cutter and then cut strips for the grip. Looks like there are 12 of them, so I glued them on one by one, cutting them to the right size as I went.
And I glued myself to my lightsaber. Look, it's the Force!
Okay, so maybe I went a little bit overboard on the super glue. Just a tad. I made those swoopy bits, that's another technical term, swoopy bits, at the bottom out of 1/4-inch craft foam from Michaels. I didn't have a pattern for that, I just eyeballed it. I made the saber end cap out of foam and then found this convenient end cap shaped part in my junk drawer. Great. What am I talking about? All my drawers are junk drawers. I cut a section out of it so that it would look like what it's supposed to look like. I cut up another foam section to create that weird outer castle-like part. You know what I'm talking about? I want to say parapets. I have a Google machine right in front of me while I'm doing this. Turrets, they're called turrets, of course. Thanks, Google machine! So I glued that on and then made those sort of clamp-like details, hacking words, and then some other random greeblies. Now you could go ahead and paint it. However, the current theory is that Kylo's blue saber and his Sith saber are one and the same. He bled the crystal and in the act of doing so, caused the lightsaber to overload, so he had to cut it open, redo the wires, and add the vents. And I mean, if you look at it, it does look like a bad Dremel line, right? Am I crazy? Totally. So the version that I'm building is Kylo's lightsaber right after he bled the crystal and turned it on for the first time, but before he added the vents. So like the version of his saber that existed for 3 hours or however long it took him to jury rig all that. So when I made the innermost cylinder, I marked where that hole in the side was going to fall and I carved an opening in it with my rotary tool. Then I attached foam spacers to it and painted it silver with tester's paint. So I did a super rough drawing of what that was going to look like and just cut into it. Ugh, lovely. Because I used foam, I have to seal this and plaster it before I paint it. So I stuck a drying rod in it and did that. Now you need to bleed the kyber crystal, so let me just... Organic chemistry! Did you get it? Because it's you guys? It's a corny joke. Right now my Patreon covers the cost of the materials that I build my props out of, which is amazing, but if it ever gets to the point where an actual percentage of my audience is supporting me, then I can do these videos full time and bring you a real tutorial every month as opposed to live streams like last month. Who wants to watch me mix resin for an hour? On that note, I'd like to thank all the new patrons who came over from the Starkiller Saber video, including all of these people. They should be scrolling across the screen right now, unless I put them down here. Nah, I totally would have put a scroll. Anyway, if you can help out, that's fantastic. If not, I get it. Now back to the build! Oh hey, we made it through the whole Patreon plug without any equipment fail. So I make these kyber crystals and I sell them on my Etsy store, link below. That's real subtle. And this one has a defect, so I can't sell it. I don't know how this happened, but for some reason the die didn't make it to the top, so the very tip is clear. Just the tip. The very tip is clear. Anyway, the crystal in this is going to be partially obscured, so rather than tossing the defect crystal, it's going into the prop. I stuck it in there and used an LED to light it up. Now that the plastic dip is dry, I painted the hilt in chrome automotive spray paint. When that eventually dried, I stuck in the core, added some wires for gack, and oh yeah, let's spin it up. This shot was brought to you by a broken nebulizer. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like this video, here's clips from others I've done. Wonder where we can see those. Hey, I'm thinking of doing a helmet build in the near future. Not that I'm lightsabered out or anything, but Some of my audience might be. Leave helmet suggestions and comments below. Jake out. Alright, that's it. I can stop shouting.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
This is the pipe.